Hey, what's up guys? It's your second favorite PE teacher, Denver. We're doing something a little bit different today and going face cam. So I hope that's okay with you guys, but these are 4 reasons why Scoped wins almost every single game. Now, Scoped has been blowing up the last few months. Everything about him is so next level, from his playstyle to his builds. I mean, there's a good reason Tfue plays with him. His technique, his decision making, they are insane, and he can absolutely mop the floor with almost anybody he comes across. So let's take a look. Let's find out how he does this, and also stick around because at the end, we're gonna go over his controller settings, so don't miss it. Don't forget to like and subscribe right now and leave a comment telling me which pro player you want to see next, and let's get started. But the first thing about Scoped is how he utilizes his strengths. Just take a look at this fight from the FNCS finals. While lurking on the high ground, he spots his opponent getting out of the grotto. Now, he doesn't shoot right away. Instead, he waits until his opponent comes a little bit closer. That way, he can guarantee more damage with that minigun he's holding. But as soon as his crosshair is lined up, he starts shooting, and even though his opponent boxes up, he's not going to let off the gas for one reason: to stop his opponent from healing. After a few more tags, he knows this guy is at 60 health, so with the risk now lessened, he moves in to finish the kill. Shotgun damage gets traded, and after, he goes right back to the minigun spray. Now watch this. Scoped notices his opponent missed a wall on their box, so he drops down, he places his own as soon as possible. Now this is a top-notch play, all things considered, but unfortunately, Scoped botches the follow-up by whiffing his shot, which happens, and you should plan for missing shots because nobody hits 100% of the shots they take unless you're Wayne Gretzky or Michael Scott. So anyways, after getting hit himself, it's time to heal. This is something a lot of us don't really think to do when we have our opponent near death. We feel that we can just keep going and we can try to finish that kill. But even if your opponent is low, you don't want to give them the opportunity to one-shot you. So stopping to heal is of the utmost importance, even if you're giving them a chance to heal too. And it's not a big deal. You can use the time to reset yourself mentally and even to plan out your next move. Now, after he's topped up though, Scope gets right back to it. He gains a bit of distance. He starts putting that minigun to work. This is where his opponent is going to get desperate, probably because they're running a little bit low on mats. Now, they try to ramp up, but end up right behind Scope's floor. Huge mistake on their part to not instantly place a pyramid above that floor, or at least drop back. But I don't know, maybe they thought it was theirs. Either way, huge mistake. Scoped makes the edit and picks up the kill. So Scoped really played to his strengths here, which is the case. He had the mythic minigun, all right, a ton of ammo to go with it. And so that's what he used. Always play to your loadout's strengths. With a different loadout, you obviously wouldn't be able to spray as much, but the distance Scoped kept when spraying was huge, because some of you guys want to get right up in somebody's wall and spray and try to jump into their box. But why? That just puts you in a 50-50 situation. Try to spray from a step or two back so you don't get pumped in the head first, and then close and try to jump in the box when you know you can win the fight no matter what. Now, the minigun will be pretty much any other weapon at that short, kind of medium range, and that's how Scoped distanced himself. It won him every trade, and he barely had to build a single thing, saving mats for the next fight. So if you're on a controller, putting a lot of faith in those spray weapons is a legit strategy, and you should be doing it no matter if you're close or even at a distance, but that won't always be a ticket to success, right? Especially against players that know how to build. In those cases, you need to play it smart like Scoped did here. Now, like in this second clip, Scoped lays in some shots at this player hiding in the bush. There's no aim assist here. You can't aim assist into a bush, as most of you guys probably know, but pay attention to how Scoped moves and ducks behind cover when at the top of his ramp. This type of movement is so important when you go to peek and spray at close ranges, because I mean, if you just stand still and shoot, you're going to get lasered for all of your health. Now anyway, Scoped hears bush guy's shield crack. He begins to close the gap since his opponent is sitting in a bush unprotected. He goes for some Tfue classics on the way there, and he lands them. Now, in case you're new or you've been living under a rock, possibly, the Tfue classic is where you jump off the high ground, you lay a shot down, and then you put a floor below yourself so you catch yourself, so you don't get hit back. Now, it's an old move, but it's still useful now, just like it was 2 years ago. Now, once the dude boxes up, however, Scoped, he drops down, he tries to W key his way inside. It doesn't end up working. So this is where you need to bust out the slower, more methodical, smarter plays. Now, Scoped is expecting an edit right here, and he holds his shotty out. He pre-aims his opponent, and he's just waiting, which is a really good tactic. But when he hears them popping a mini, that's his cue to take their wall and edit a window so he can place stairs or a cone and establish piece control inside. Very important to own as many pieces as you can. Though in this case, he actually had his floor out by accident. Hey, you see that? Pros make mistakes too, and it's okay. Anyway, if you were in this spot where you just saw your opponent place those stairs, what would you do? Start spraying? Would you box up? Well, those stairs are typically a dead giveaway that your opponent is going to edit out of the top of their 1x1. Scoped is ready for that though. He counters by jumping and blocking them off immediately with a wall. Now try to keep in mind it's sometimes better to take builds with weapons instead of just your pickaxe now. All the pros like Benji Fishy and all the top pros do this. They'll use a shotgun to take walls instead of just a pickaxe now. Scope does it here and his opponent didn't see it coming. Of course, he edits that floor and goes for a shot, but did you notice his positioning? Instead of standing out in the open, he heads behind cover on the left, of course, to get that right hand peek. And it's safe to say now, never ever try a left hand peek. You lose almost all of the times. But don't go anywhere, guys. We have an amazing clip coming up. It's packed on how Scoped takes risk and slays his opponents in the end game. Pro scrimmers, custom game winners, this is for you right here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have heard, but Cypher PK held a little tournament on a recreated Tilted Towers map. Scope got invited. He had to face top pros like Hogman, FaZe Mega, even the kings of Tilted, Aiden and Nick Merckx. Players landed, they looted, and then the storm closed, especially turning it into like an endgame scrims. And the endgame is where Scoped isn't afraid to take risks. Take a look at his inventory here. He's running all those minis and a flopper, perfect for the endgame. You'll see this in a second, or if you watch the tournament, you definitely know why. But first, notice how Scope checks his surroundings. When he stops, information is critical during the end game, and the more information you can get, the better chance you have of winning. You always want to look above, below, around you, every single chance you can get, and don't ever focus on a single opponent. That way you can avoid opponents, find kills, and even plan your next move. But this is where all those heals are going to come into play. Scope uses the fact that he has them, even if it means he's going to get hit and return. After all, his opponents probably don't have all those heals, and every bit of health matters in these end games. You'll see Scoped at 4 health in just a second, so even the slightest bit of chip damage can make a huge difference. Now moving on, Scoped is working his way to the safe zone where he suddenly notices a player tunneling on the other side of his wall. Scoped is so quick to react. He doesn't hesitate one bit to edit. He blocks their escape of the pyramid. He shoots out the stairs and places his own cone. It's such a brilliant display of piece control, and if he instead just tried to edit and start shooting, he probably wouldn't have gotten the kill. Now after that kill, Scoped is still stuck on the low ground. There's only one other player there, so he's going to go for the kill. Using all those mats he just got, he establishes piece control early, and by covering the space in front of his opponent's tunnel's path, he tries to take a double edit down. It doesn't work, and his opponent actually ends up going a layer above him, but even from the bottom, watch this, Scope can do the same thing. He places those cones and floors ahead of his opponent, and with a quick double edit, drops them right into his crosshair. Now that type of stuff, it blows my mind, but it's something Scoped and a lot of other pros do all the time. They practice these edits and they understand the common ways to use them. In this case, Scoped, unfortunately, he gets beamed here and he doesn't even end up getting the kill. And now he's in a one-on-one situation against the high ground player. Since Scoped has barely any HP, he needs to go for a massive play here, like a one pump or something like that. Otherwise, he's just going to be kissing this win goodbye. So moving along the storm, Scoped starts ramping. He protects himself with floors and cones all the way up. We need to do this every single time. And when he reaches the top, he performs this protected side jump where you jump to the side, you place your wall, you catch yourself with the floor. After that, he's ramping forward. And what you're about to see is just unreal. Scoped boxes in his opponent. He flips his ramp in a split second, and look at that. His opponent is caught entirely off guard. The surprise factor can do wonders sometimes, especially when you're flipping ramps like this. Now Scoped unloads, his opponent actually whiffs, which may have gotten them the win, sure, since he only had that one chance there with one shot, and by some miracle, Scoped pulls it off. So how in the world did he do that? Well, first, Scope's tunneling was nearly flawless. Tunneling is something you need to practice nonstop if you want any sort of success in the endgame. That goes without saying, but a lot of us don't practice them as often as we should, me included. I'm guilty there. But what stood out the most was his piece control and his aggression. Scoped enables plays by taking control of build pieces before his opponents could do so. Like a lot of the time, especially against better players, you want to build first and then go for shots, as long as it means you'll own the pieces around them and around yourself. And at the end, Scoped knew he had to go big to win the round, so he took the chance, and luckily it paid off. Now, all in all, that was a crazy round win by Scoped. As promised, let's wrap things up with what helps Scoped play like he does, his settings. So pause the screen if you need to, guys, but yes, Scoped uses edit on release. If you're still not, definitely consider turning it on, as it does make your edits way faster, especially if you're on a controller, and I'm trying to get used to this right now myself. For his sensitivities, he's got 2.6 for his edit and build multipliers. That's big for those quick split-second builds when you need them. Now his vertical and horizontal look speeds are at 47%, so that he can quickly flick when he needs to, and his ADS sense is at 11% to give him more control aiming at those long distances. Also, Scoped has 0 ramp time or boost and uses the style that most pros seem to prefer: linear. Now his dead zones are at 10%, but you guys should probably experiment with this a little bit for your own dead zone, since every controller is different. Now as for his device, Scoped uses a PS4 controller with paddles, a scuff impact, I believe, I'm not totally sure, and for his binds, here they are. But fair warning, they might not work all that well for you unless you've got a controller with paddles also. Either way, feel free to try them out. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys found the video helpful. Scoped is just insane at this game, and I know I learned a lot just from watching him. If this video helped you guys out as well, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for all new videos coming up soon. Also remember, leave a comment telling me what pro you guys want to see next. But until then, I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love, Denver.